the headlines of this hour on VTV News. Prime Minister attends ASEAN +1 and ASEAN +3 summits. And Vietnam accelerates digital transformation for national development. In our world news, more than 3 million without power after Hurricane Milton slams Florida.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good morning. It is 8 a.m. local time in Hanoi, and you're watching VTV News. I'm Huyen Chen with the top stories. On Thursday, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính attended the ASEAN +1 summit with partners from China, South Korea, and Japan, and the ASEAN +3 summit in Vientiane, Laos. More to follow.
Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính emphasized boosting self-reliance, strategic connectivity, and collaboration with the Belt and Road Initiative at the ASEAN-China Summit. He urged both sides to improve market access, upgrade border infrastructure, and leverage technology for cooperation in the digital and green economies. The Prime Minister also called for strengthened connectivity and people-to-people exchanges to enhance the ASEAN-China Comprehensive Strategic Partnership. He expressed hope for aligned positions to promote peace and stability, urging dialogue to resolve East Sea disputes and finalize a substantive code of conduct in line with international law, including the 1982 UNCLOS. At the ASEAN-South Korea summit, the two sides established a comprehensive strategic partnership to mark their 35th anniversary. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính stressed the need for responsible contributions to regional peace and security, welcoming South Korea's support for ASEAN's stance on the East Sea and promoting dialogue for lasting peace on the Korean Peninsula. He also called for stronger economic cooperation, focusing on cultural exchange, tourism, and education, while leveraging the ASEAN-South Korea Free Trade Agreement for balanced trade and investment. Additionally, he urged decisive actions for inclusive growth and sustainable development, alongside support for the Mekong subregion's development. At the ASEAN +1 summit with Japan, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính proposed strengthening connectivity between the two economies and enhancing economic, trade, and investment cooperation. The Prime Minister encouraged Japanese companies to invest more in ASEAN, support local businesses joining Japanese supply chains, and help develop a skilled workforce. To ensure self-reliant and sustainable development, he urged Japan to continue supporting ASEAN and the Mekong subregion in addressing climate change, natural disasters, and energy transition. He also suggested that both sides enhance strategic coordination for regional peace, security, and stability. At the ASEAN +3 summit, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính outlined three key orientations for ASEAN +3 cooperation. First, ensuring supply chain connectivity is crucial by promptly implementing the ASEAN +3 leaders' statement on enhancing regional supply chain connectivity. He proposed leveraging new growth drivers and emerging industries to deliver practical regional benefits. He also emphasized building resilience against natural disasters and climate change. The Prime Minister urged enhanced cooperation in disaster management, community resilience, energy transition, environmental protection, and sustainable development of the Mekong subregion.
Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính attended the ASEAN-Australia summit, where leaders praised the success of the special summit celebrating the 50th anniversary of relations in March this year, and also welcomed recent positive developments, particularly a two-way trade between ASEAN and Australia, which exceeded $94 billion of 2023. The Prime Minister called for strengthening strategic cooperation, economic development, digital transformation, business support, and market access. He welcomed Australia's support for ASEAN's stance on the East Sea and its assistance to the Mekong region and the Mekong Delta. The Prime Minister also urged enhancing people-to-people exchanges and educational cooperation, especially by asking Australia to provide more scholarships for ASEAN students to develop high-quality human resources. Now, on the afternoon of October 10th, Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh attended the ASEAN-India Summit. And at the summit, ASEAN leaders appreciated India's commitment to its Act East policy and the promotion of comprehensive relations. The Prime Minister proposed that both sides continue to strengthen cultural, economic, and social ties while welcoming India's initiatives on energy and infrastructure. He called for enhanced cooperation in economics, technology, high-quality human resource training, and climate change response. He also hoped that India would continue cooperating and supporting the effective implementation of the Mekong-Ganga Cooperation Framework, contributing to inclusive growth and sustainable development across the region. Also on the sidelines of the ASEAN summit, Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh met with the President of the Republic of Korea, the Prime Minister of Thailand, and the King of Brunei Darussalam, and the Prime Minister of Canada. More in the following.
Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh and South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol agreed to enhance high-level exchanges and cooperation in defense, security, economic ties, and science and technology. The Prime Minister emphasized Vietnam's commitment to supporting South Korean investors and requested that South Korea open its market further to Vietnamese goods and provide preferential loans for infrastructure projects. He also sought South Korea's support in training young talents for ASEAN countries.
At the meeting with the Thai Prime Minister, the two leaders aimed to achieve a bilateral trade turnover of $25 billion. They acknowledged the importance of the three connectivity strategy, focusing on supply chains and strategic areas like transportation, the digital economy, and energy transition. Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh stressed the need for coordination and information exchange to combat terrorist and reactionary organizations, ensuring no group uses one country's territory to threaten another.
At the meeting with the Sultan of Brunei Darussalam, the two leaders agreed to enhance high-level exchanges and implement bilateral cooperation mechanisms and the action program for the comprehensive partnership. The Prime Minister asked Brunei to facilitate the licensing of Vietnamese fishing vessels and to extend the Memorandum of Understanding on a hotline to address illegal fishing. The Sultan expressed his desire to strengthen trade, agriculture, fisheries, and oil and gas cooperation with Vietnam.
In a meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh emphasized the need to effectively exploit economic, trade, and investment cooperation opportunities and promote defense collaboration. He highlighted enhancing labor training, supporting small and medium enterprises, advancing gender equality, reducing poverty, and addressing climate change and food security.
Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh of Vietnam, Prime Minister Son Se Siphandone of Laos, and Prime Minister Hun Manet of Cambodia held a special meeting with the leadership of the ASEAN Business Advisory Council in Vientiane on October 10th, on the sidelines of the 44th and 45th ASEAN summits in Laos. The Prime Ministers and ASEAN BAC representatives discussed solutions to enhance cooperation and deepen the partnership among the three countries in economic integration. They focus on strengthening connectivity by improving infrastructure and transportation links to facilitate trade and investment flows. The leaders also emphasize enhancing economic resilience through policies that can withstand economic shocks and ensure sustainable growth, empowering the private sector to encourage greater participation and investment from ASEAN businesses in regional development initiatives. Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh emphasized the importance of enhancing the integration of the three economies in 5 key areas, namely soft connectivity, hard connectivity, trade connectivity, digital and energy infrastructure connectivity, and business connectivity. Now, on the sidelines of the 44th and 45th ASEAN summits and related summits in Vientiane on October 10th, Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh had a meeting with President of Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, Jean Link, and World Bank Vice President for East Asia and Pacific, Manuela Ferro. More to follow.
Prime Minister Pham Minh Chinh asked the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, AIIB, to continue supporting Vietnam in mobilizing resources to implement large-scale projects such as the Lào Cai-Hanoi-Hải Phòng and Lạng-Sơn-Hanoi Standard Gauge Railway. During a reception for AIIB President Jin Li-shun in Vientiane on October the 10th, he called on the AIIB to provide concessional loans and transfer technology and help train human resources to carry out such important projects. Agreeing with the Prime Minister's proposals, the AIIB President underscored the importance and spillover effects of large-scale infrastructure projects on improving connectivity, logistics capacity, and socio-economic development in the localities housing them, thereby attracting more high-quality investments to Vietnam.
At a meeting with World Bank Vice President Manuela Ferro on October 10 in Vientiane, Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính praised the World Bank's vision for sustainable development and green transition. He urged continued support and concessional loans for key infrastructure projects like high-speed rail, seaports and airports. For her part, World Bank Vice President for East Asia and Pacific, Manuela Ferro, affirmed the World Bank's strong commitment to continuing its close and effective cooperation with Vietnam in its journey to become a high-income developed nation by 2045. She highlighted the World Bank's efforts to diversify funding sources, to lower interest rates on development loans. She strongly supported the Prime Minister's proposals to prioritize assistance for key large-scale infrastructure projects.
Coming up next on VTV News. Vietnam accelerates digital transformation for national development. And obstacles remain in a renewable energy investment. Now move on to other news. A robust digital transformation is crucial to Vietnam's development. According to a recent article by Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm, one of the top priorities in accelerating national digital transformation is to develop high-quality human resources that meet the demands of the fourth industrial revolution in key areas such as semiconductors, artificial intelligence, and information technology. And to achieve this goal, localities should implement comprehensive and synchronized solutions to help the country thrive in the new era.
Thủ Đức City is the first area in Ho Chi Minh City to handle 90% of administrative procedures online. The application of information technology in state management and public services has facilitated citizens and businesses. Digital transformation is key to local socio-economic development.
Digital transformation requires data sharing. In Thủ Đức City, we'll improve data sharing to boost efficiency and productivity.
In his recent article, Party General Secretary and State President Tô Lâm outlined key tasks to accelerate national digital transformation. He emphasizes the need to utilize all social resources, reform and build a streamlined apparatus for effective and efficient operations in the political system. He also requires strict measures to ensure information security in digital transformation.
These are comprehensive and strategic solutions to accelerate digital transformation, turning it into a driving force for the country's economic growth and labor productivity improvement. While weighing the pros and cons of digital transformation, his article emphasizes core principles that the political system must adhere to.
Localities should accelerate digital transformation to meet the National Digital Transformation Program targets. In addition to preparing documents for the 14th National Party Congress, the committees at all levels should adhere to the Party General Secretary and State President's guidance on digital transformation.
It is better to take small steps in the right direction. Digital transformation is the continuous journey requiring the joint efforts of all localities, the determination and vision of the leaders of all ministries, state agencies and businesses are key to successful digital transformation.
The government has introduced mechanisms to support renewable energy projects in Vietnam to promote clean energy investment. However, challenges remain, preventing 85 projects, including 77 wind and 8 solar, with a combined capacity of over 4,734 megawatts, from being activated under the preferential pricing mechanism.
This investor has put over $161 million into a 100 megawatt wind power plant in Gia Lai province. However, the COVID-19 pandemic and extended social distancing delayed the project, preventing it from accessing the preferential pricing mechanism. Instead of the anticipated profits, businesses are facing increasing financial burdens.
After nearly 2 years without electricity generation, our project lost over $20 million in annual revenue, plus more than $12 million in investment interest owed to the bank.
Last year, the Ministry of Industry and Trade established a transitional electricity price framework to ease challenges for renewable energy investors. After over a year of implementing the pricing mechanism, only 29 of 85 renewable energy projects have been temporarily activated.
Despite the preferential price, the plant's capacity is not fully utilized, typically mobilizing only 70 to 80%. Consequently, last year's revenue reached just 30% of the initial investment target, which is insufficient to cover investment interest and operating costs.
When a business invests but cannot sell electricity, its assets lose value. This creates a significant risk. If the business cannot meet its debt obligations, it may face bankruptcy.
In the long term, the burden of bank debt diminishes the appeal of renewable energy. According to a report on electricity supply and demand for 2021-2025, the electricity shortage could exceed 27 billion kilowatt-hour by 2025. If bottlenecks in renewable energy capacity are not addressed, pressure from energy shortages will increase.
The Japan Bank for International Cooperation has decided to provide $150 million in funding for renewable energy projects and power transmission in Vietnam. The loan will be dispersed through a VP Bank or Vietnam Prosperity Bank. The credit contract signing ceremony between the two banks recently took place in Hanoi, witnessed by the Japanese ambassador to Vietnam, Ito Naoki. The loan aims to contribute to Vietnam's national goal of achieving net zero emissions by 2050. This mid to a long-term loan of $150 million will be allocated by VP Bank to businesses and projects focused on power grid development and renewable energy, with positive impacts on environmental protection. With active support from Japan's Kiraboshi Bank and the Vietnam Trade Office in Japan, a Vietnamese rice company has exported more than 3,000 tons of high-quality rice under the ASEAN brand to the Japanese market since the beginning of October. This is the second Vietnamese rice brand successfully exported to this demanding market with strict import standards.
Vietnamese rice has received high acclaim from many demanding markets in the world. Over 3,000 tons of rice under the ASEAN brand have been exported to Japan.
The procedure for importing rice into Japan is quite difficult and time-consuming. Obtaining an import permit will take up to a year and a half. However, we helped a Vietnamese rice company reduce the time to 6 months.
Vietnamese rice imported into Japan must meet strict pesticide residue regulations with 624 criteria and go through 3 types of inspection. As this is the second time Vietnam has successfully imported rice into Japan, Vietnamese rice has built brand trust in this demanding market. Therefore, the procedures to obtain an import permit will be reduced.
This is the second time Vietnamese rice has successfully been exported to Japan, one of the world's most demanding markets with strict standards. Initially, only a small amount of rice was exported to Japan, but recently, we have exported more than 3,000 tons of rice. We expect to export 6,000 tons of rice to Japan by the end of 2024.
Japan's agricultural protectionism restricts the sales of rice between Japan and Vietnam. Vietnamese rice must be imported under the simultaneous buy and sell tender system. Vietnam's success in rice exports enhances the value of Vietnamese agricultural products in the global market.
The Vietnam Pho Festival 2024 took place in Seoul, South Korea, attracting many Korean people, international tourists, and Vietnamese expatriates. The festival left unforgettable impressions on food enthusiasts. Co-organized by the Vietnamese Embassy in South Korea, Tuổi Trẻ newspaper, and Saigon Tourist Group, the festival featured 70 booths, including 40 booths selling pho, a Vietnamese soup dish consisting of broth, rice noodles, and meat, plus other dishes and South Korean delicacies. There was a cultural space exhibiting Vietnam's culture and tourism. The festival welcomed about 28,000 visitors who tried 40 Vietnamese dishes such as pho, bánh mì, and noodles. Over 100 meetings between Vietnamese and South Korean businesses in tourism, trade, and services were held, and 20 memorandums of understanding were signed. Hanoi's Liberation Day on October 10, 1954, stands as a monumental chapter in our history, a testament to the unwavering spirit and ultimate victory of our people against French colonialism. This event not only heralded a new era in the storied legacy of Thăng Long Đông Đô, Hanoi, but also inspired our national arts, giving rise to timeless works that have become symbols of the city.
Nguyễn Ngọc Thịnh witnessed Hanoi's liberation when she was just 14 years old. She joined the crowd celebrating the city's freedom, proudly singing the anthem Tiến về Hà Nội, or Marching to Hanoi. For her, this song encapsulates the strength and spirit of Hanoi people.
When our family heard the news of Hanoi's liberation and the stirring melody of Tiến về Hà Nội filled the air, we couldn't help but sing with pure joy.
The song Tiến về Hà Nội, composed by musician Văn Cao in 1949, 5 years prior to the city's liberation, carries an uncanny prescience that aligns perfectly with the event of liberation that followed.
On the night of Van Gogh finished composing the song, artist that day was the first to hold the sheet music and hear him sing it. He then shared the song with all their fellow artists.
We taught the song to the youth and the children of Hanoi to sing.
At the age of 91, Nguyễn Văn Khang still vividly recalls the lyrics and melody of Tiến về Hà Nội. This anthem is more than just a song. It's a profound connection to Hanoi's soul, a cherished piece of Vietnamese national musical heritage that continues to inspire generations.
Coming up next in our world news. More than 3 million without power after Hurricane Milton slams Florida. China and the EU seek to ease tensions over trade tariffs. Moving on to our world news, Hurricane Milton barreled into the Atlantic Ocean on Thursday after plowing across Florida as a Category 3 storm, pelting cities with ferocious winds and rain, whipping up a barrage of tornadoes and causing an unknown numbers of deaths. It compounded the misery wrought by Helene while sparing Tampa a direct hit.
As dawn broke Thursday, officials repeated that the danger had not passed. Storm surge remained a concern in many parts of Florida, and tropical storm warnings were in place for much of the east-central coast. Officials in the hard-hit counties of Hillsborough, Pinellas, Sarasota, and Lee urged people to stay home, warning of downed power lines, trees in roads, blocked bridges, and flooding. The storm knocked out power across a large section of Florida, with more than 3.2 million homes and businesses without electricity. At least 4 people have so far been confirmed dead in St. Lucie County following tornadoes spawned as a result of Hurricane Milton.
Storm surge is one of the biggest risks that we have with hurricanes, and that's when the water piles onto the land and it's swept on with the very strong winds, and also the low pressure lifts the ocean up as well. And it can sweep quite a long way onto the land, particularly when we've got high tide. That can be very dangerous. People think about hurricanes and they think about the very strong winds, and that is, of course, dangerous, as are tornadoes. But the storm surge itself can sweep inland and flood people to a very great depth.
Milton's prolific rain is causing major flooding on rivers that are also swelling to, or threatening to hit, historic highs in places. Nearly a dozen river gauges across the state are in major flood stage. The Gulf Coast of Florida was not fully recovered from Hurricane Helene, which left a lot of debris piled on the side of roads, which also could become a hazard in rising waters.
European Council President Charles Michel is scheduled to meet Chinese Premier Li Qiang on the sidelines of the ASEAN summit in Vientiane, Laos on Friday. This meeting is expected to ease tensions over trade tariffs between China and the European Union, after China announced provisional tariffs on European brandy imports, the latest move in a growing exchange of tit-for-tat penalties. Last week, the EU imposed tariffs as high as 45% on imports of electric vehicles made in China. The tariffs are set to take effect on October 31st. In order to avert a trade conflict, the European Commission is willing to continue negotiating with China. Some EU member countries, including Germany, Hungary, Malta, Slovenia, and Slovakia, oppose the tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles. The prime ministers of Czech Republic and Poland have called for hardening the European Union's migration policy and tightening the bloc's external border controls. The move aims to tackle unauthorized migration. Czech Prime Minister Petr Fiala said that sweeping reforms to the bloc's asylum system endorsed by EU nations in May are insufficient and should be more strict. Hungary and Poland, which have long opposed any obligation for countries to host migrants or pay for their care, voted against the package but could not block it. The Czech Republic abstained from the vote. Poland is one of the EU's eastern flank countries dealing with a migration influx. And since mid-2021, Poland has seen an annual increase in the number of people from Africa and the Middle East attempting to cross the border with Belarus to seek asylum. Israel has reaffirmed that it would continue to defeat Hezbollah forces. Israel's military chief Herzi Halevi vowed on Wednesday to keep targeting Hezbollah, saying strikes would continue without respite to prevent the group from recovering. The conflict between Israel and the Lebanese group Hezbollah is escalating, while Israel intensified its bombardment of northern Gaza and southern Lebanon. Hezbollah fired more than 135 rockets into northern Israel. The U.S. State Department on Wednesday urged Israel to refrain from launching Gaza-style military action in Lebanon. According to Lebanese authorities, over 1.2 million Lebanese have been displaced and nearly 2,000 people killed since the resurgence of the conflict. Now, as usual, let's move on to our weather forecast. And that's all the news we have for this hour. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app VTVgo or check out our YouTube channel VTV4Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.